Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be doing kind of a recap of my January habit tracker. Just a little bit of like a follow-up to my first video of the year, which was building my habit tracker and the things that I want to be doing consistently throughout the year. So now it is like the end of January, today's the 28th. I'm filming this a little bit early just because I work the next few days, so I won't be able to record this video and get it out before February starts, which is kind of the goal. But pretty much I want to kind of recap like what happened this month, what did I do this month, how did my habit tracker go, what was successful, what wasn't successful, things I want to trial and change for next month. So we're going to kind of just like recap like what happened this month, starting with my habit tracker. So first off, my habit tracker is looking pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie, some days were definitely harder than others this month, but kind of just like looking at an overall like overview of my tracker. My morning routine, amazing, did really good on that. Most of the squares are filled on that one, so that feels really good. Kind of like my day list of working 1 mile 30-minute activity, 1 water bottle, and 20-minute tactile activity kind of has a little bit more holes. Work, I only worked like a handful of days this month, so obviously that one is going to be a little bit more on the sparse side, but for everything else, like I think I was kind of having a really hard time with my 1 mile 30-minute activity, and I found that it was really easy for me to do those on the days that I did work, just because I was already up and about, I was already doing stuff. I had a lot of free time at work, like during my lunch break, to just up and go walk around the stadium, do a mile while I was at work on the clock, so go me for prioritizing like my health and like, you know, just making good use of my time while I'm getting paid. Definitely the days that I worked, I did have kind of like a little more motivation to kind of get that done. On the days that I didn't have work, it was kind of like, well, I don't really feel like doing it, knowing that like I should have been doing it because it's for myself, obviously. But I did realize that like I need to be a little bit more proactive about doing that. So next month, I'm definitely going to be trying to hit that every single day. I did start off pretty well in the beginning of the year. First week looked great. Second week was a little bit better. Last 2 weeks has been kind of hard. I'm not going to lie. I have had kind of like a bad slump, which if you've been following my TikTok or watching my shorts, you guys did see like I did do a mental reset day just to kind of get me out of that slump. I kind of feel like I still am in that slump. It's just not too bad today. I felt like I had the motivation to turn on my camera and make this video for you guys. So today I feel like I'm doing okay, but the last few days has just been really hard. Pot symptoms wise, I've been doing okay. I feel like I'm doing a lot of stuff for myself. I feel like it's been a great start to the year. Just with everything that I've been doing, I started my solo girly adventure series and I feel really good about that. So if you haven't been seeing those are in my shorts. Check out my channel. I also have it on my TikTok and my Instagram, so if you haven't seen it on there, I'm also posting them on there as well, kind of just to like build my platforms. Trying something new this year, I'm hoping that it works. Going back to my habit tracker, in my evening list, I was really good about reading, and my skincare has looked pretty good. Brushing my flossing my teeth, I did pretty much 98% of the time. The days that I didn't do it was kind of like the days that I wasn't home, so like I had my anniversary on the 10th with my boyfriend. It was our 3-year, and I stayed the night at his, and I forgot to bring floss. Just little things here and there, like also being in like the slow, sad mental slump, like kind of is unmotivating to do anything extra on top of just living and breathing and eating. Like that's kind of how it felt like this month. So obviously I didn't 100% it, but that's okay. I did really good about everything else. Something I struggled on was picking out my outfit every single day. Like I said, it is kind of to stop me from wasting time in the morning of picking my outfit out for the next day. But again, during like some slow slumps, it was just too much work to just stop, go pick out my outfit before I get in bed. I just wanted to get in bed and bed rot, so I didn't do it. But honestly, looking at like kind of like the breakdown at the bottom of my habit tracker, it looks pretty good. I had a lot of great days. I had some decent good days. I had a few okay days. Some days were definitely harder than others. But yeah, overall it looks like I did pretty well on some days. Some days I had great days and I had like 11 or 12s. So I felt really good about that. So overall, I feel like this habit tracker was really good. I feel like I've been really productive this month, especially starting to build up my content creation. I feel like I was not sure how to go about it and how I wanted to do it, but I realized that because my schedule is somewhat of a set schedule where I'm kind of working like Thursday to Sunday, and then I have like Monday, Tuesday, possibly Wednesday off, I kind of like realized like, oh, I could record my solo girly adventures on Monday and quickly edit it and get it out by Monday night, Tuesday morning. And I feel like that has helped me, so that's why I've been trying to post shorts once a week. reels once a week in that sense, just because then it's kind of getting me back in the habit of content creation and, making this happen, because I really do feel like this is a goal for me for this year. At the top of my habit tracker on like a previous page, I kind of had like my 2026 vision board, and it's totally not perfect 100% like gorgeous like everybody else's vision board, but I feel like this was kind of just like a brain dump of like what I do want to happen this year, and I feel pretty confident that I could make this happen. So I kind of have just a bunch of pictures of things that I want. I have like this quote, and it says, "Self-love is the highest frequency that attracts everything you desire." So I am definitely working on kind of like the self-love aspect of being independent, being able to do things on my own, not being reliant on other people, which is why I started the Solo Girlie series, because I just feel like for me personally, being in my relationship, and there's nothing wrong with my relationship, I just feel like a lot of what I do and how I do things is based around when is my boyfriend available to spend time with me. And it was a lot of like, well, I know he's off on these days, so let's kind of make those days my days off, and like kind of just waiting around for things to happen with him, which I realize is not like a good thing, not a good habit to have. Like, I love him so much, but like I kind of have to do stuff for myself, and I have to do things to make me happy. And if that is going out to the park and doing my dots, or spending time reading a book, or going to a cafe, like I feel like I needed to realize that I can do things on my own, and I don't need to wait for him to be available to spend time with me to be happy, which sounds so stupid. Like, honestly, in my head, this is like the stupidest argument that I ever had with myself, because I'm like, why am I waiting around to spend time with him? Like, yes, I love him. Yes, I want to spend time with him. Yes, I think he is part of my future, but like, why am I centering my schedule? Why am I centering my habits? Why am I, thinking about this so much when I could be using this time for myself to build my confidence, to grow my channel, to just do things for myself to make myself feel happy? Because honestly, it's, I don't have to be so centered around our relationship, which I felt like I kind of was. To him, maybe it won't feel like that. Honestly, like that's how I felt, and I didn't like who I was with that mentality of like just waiting around for something to happen with this relationship. I realized that if I step back and start growing my habits, doing things for myself, I feel like that makes me a better partner, and I can take these habits, be more positive, do things for myself, and still be in a good relationship. So that is kind of why I started my Solo Girlie series, is just because I felt like I wasn't doing much for myself, and I wasn't taking the time that I had, my free time, to do things for myself. Like, I would just wait and wait and wait until he was off work, which is stupid, and I shouldn't have done that. But, in the moment, it felt like that is how I love. I hope that makes sense. That is kind of on my vision board, and then just a bunch of other stuff like content creation, and then like getting in shape. I do have like kind of set goals. One thing that I was looking at buying for the longest time, and this is not like an impulse purchase by any means, like I actually planned this out. I did my research. Like, this was kind of a big investment for me in the process of like, I want to create content. I want to keep doing things, but I want to make it convenient for me. I want to make it kind of unique in a way. I ended up buying the DJI Osmo Nano. This is my new camera for kind of just like my solo girly adventures. I definitely want to use this for that. If I go on trips, that's also what I want to use it for, because it's small, discreet. It kind of works like the Insta360 Go 3S or the Go Ultra. The reason why I opted for the DJI version is just because my mics are all DJI. I'm used to the DJI ecosystem. I used to use the DJI Pocket 2, which is kind of what I started my vlogs on before I bought this camera, which is my Sony ZV-1F. So yeah, these are kind of like my two content creation cameras, but I wanted to try something new, and I feel like bringing my Sony camera out kind of prevents me from wanting to vlog outside, because I don't want to bring this camera, even though it is definitely like a point and shoot smaller camera. I felt like this camera is significantly smaller. The attachments that you can use with this is like the chest mount. There's like a hat clip. You can use the dock separately as like a screen, and you can just magnetically mount the camera to like a telephone pole or stuff like that. There's also like a suction cup mount, so I can mount it on the table and just like prop it up without bringing a tripod, which I don't need the tripod, but I do love that I can use it on the tripod. I did buy this attachment so I can use it vertically to record vertical content. So my mental reset video that I just posted a few days ago, that one is 100% shot on this, because I've been using my iPhone. The reason I don't want to do that is just because I feel like, yes, it's convenient, but I don't want to like burn through my storage and like waste my battery by recording it. So having a separate device gets me into that content creation mode, if that makes sense. So anyways, that was kind of like my big girl purchase. It literally came in the mail a couple days ago, and then I immediately used it for my mental reset. So I'm very happy with this purchase. I feel like this was a long time coming. I've been wanting this camera for like 4 or 5 months now, and I did a lot of research on it, and I feel really happy about this purchase. Yeah, just getting back into my content creation era, feeling good about, you know, how this is gonna help me achieve my goals this year, and hopefully we can get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That is kind of like my goal. I'm manifesting that because I know that it takes a while to get there, but hopefully with kind of the practices that I'm taking, the things that I'm doing, I feel like I could possibly get there if I try hard enough. So as of today, we have 49 subscribers, and I feel really good about that. So thank you guys so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you guys following along, watching these videos. If you've made it to this point, I really, really appreciate you guys for your support and just kind of just enjoying my content. So anyways, back to this. So that is kind of like my vision board, my mock vision board for the year. But my habit tracker, I'm going to be honest, it was kind of annoying to use. Like, I know that I set this up and I built this, but I felt like it just took too much time to like literally draw in every single box of every single thing I did. So I would literally leave it for the end of the day, and at that point I still wouldn't want to do it, which I was like, I know I need to do this. I know I need to do my tactile activity. I know I need to go on my walk. I know I need to read my 20 minutes. I know I need to do my skincare. I just didn't feel like literally checking the box on this just because it wasn't so convenient as checking a box. So for February, I am switching platforms, but I'm not changing my habits. The only habit that I'm changing, let's be real, I literally did not wake up at 7 a.m. any day except for my anniversary day because we had to be up super early to drive out to Monterey, and that was like a 2-hour drive. So the only time I did that was for work and for my anniversary, and didn't happen for the rest of the month, which I find really funny, but not really funny because I knew that that wasn't going to happen, but I still said it that I was going to try and do it, which is like, yeah, that's a great goal and intention to have, but I never ended up doing it. So I think a more reasonable goal for me is to wake up at 9 a.m. because I tend to do that already on a regular basis, but let's make it a consistent habit of me being up instead of sleeping until 10, 10:30, 11. I moved over to Notion, and Notion I have been using all throughout college in a basic sense. Like, I never knew how to like code anything. I just knew make a table, write the assignment, put the due date, check box. Super simple. Literally right before filming this video, I said I need to make my Notion habit tracker because I know that'll be so much easier to use, and I just want to get back into the habit of using Notion because it's honestly a great platform if you know how to utilize it. So I spent quite a while watching a YouTube video on how to set up my new habit tracker, but she is gorgeous. So this is what she looks like, but I really, really like the theme that I chose. I kind of chose like a calm water theme. It makes it a little bit more fun to have a theme. I watched this video and I coded all these buttons, and I feel really proud about that. So yeah, let's talk about this. To begin, I have start your day. So once I hit this button, it'll start a new day, whatever calendar day it is, which is so cool. And then I separated my items into my morning checklist, my daily checklist, and my evening checklist. And each of these buttons automatically push to the day that we are on. So I'm going to hit a button. So I did my skincare this morning. I'm going to hit skincare on my morning checklist. It's going to ask me check off morning skincare, and I'm going to hit yes. And then it automatically sets yes on my daily habit tracker. So yes, I could use the buttons, or yes, I could just check it off on the habit tracker, but either way, it's going to get checked off. If I do it through the buttons, then it'll do it for the day that it's started. So I think that's really, really great, and I think it's much more automated and helpful for me to visualize things. Also, it looks a lot cleaner than me scribbling and trying to fill in these boxes to 100% because I thought it was going to look nice, and honestly ended up not liking it at all. Like, visually, I hated it. Like, I was like, this looks so bad, and I don't like the colors, and it's pissing me off. So I said I need to make my Notion one. So I made my Notion one. So again, just going through these, updating my wake up to 9 a.m. instead of 7, make my bed, skincare, hair and makeup got separated into 2 separate buttons just because I feel like then I know, yes, I did these 2, or no, I didn't do those 2. Day list, I have work again, 1 mile, 30-minute activity, 1 water bottle, 20-minute tactile activity, and I did my read 20 minutes. I moved it to my day list instead of my evening. If I put it in my night checklist, I felt like I left reading too late in the evening, and I always get in bed like super close to midnight, which isn't really good when my Kindle tracking my reading checklist, like my daily reading, resets at midnight, and I was pushing it way too close a lot of times. So I would literally just open a book, read 2 pages, and then like close my book and then go back to whatever I was doing just to keep my reading streak. But I realized like I was just leaving my reading too be way too late. And I could have just been reading at work, or I could have just been reading earlier in the day. So I feel like if it's in my day list, I'll read earlier and not push it to that. Like, I'm not saying I cheated. Like, I'm saying like I would be reading at 1 a.m. instead of like 2 p.m. on the previous day. So yeah, that got moved to my day list instead of my evening checklist. And then evening skincare, brush, floss my teeth, staying the same. I did really good about that, so I'm going to keep doing that. And then pick outfit for tomorrow. Those are on my evening list. And once the month is progressed and I've added everything to my monthly view, then the monthly view kind of just shows me a visual of like what is checked off, and I feel like that is so much cleaner than my previous habit tracker. So we're gonna be trying out Notion and we're gonna be doing that. But yeah, that's about it for the habit tracker. I kind of just want to recap what happened this month because I feel like I had a lot going on work-wise, mentally, a lot of things going on. So to start the year, on the 2nd was my friend's birthday. So I got to see her for a little bit after my shift. I worked my TV broadcast job, so I was working that day. I did a full 8-hour shift at the TV network to do bug. So if you don't know what bug is, whenever you're watching sports and you don't know what the score is, that little graphic of what the score is with like the team names and the timeouts and the fouls and whatever, that is bug, and that is the job that I do there. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, let me know in the comments. I could do a full breakdown on kind of what I've been doing at my different jobs. But yeah, I was working bug that night, which was really cool. I had 5 days off, and then I worked a women's basketball game at my college job, and I directed a women's basketball game. So that was the first game of the year. Then I had the day off on Friday the 9th, and then the 10th was my anniversary with my boyfriend, and I wanted to go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, so we booked tickets and we went to the aquarium for the day, and that was super fun. And then we got to see the jellyfish, which I really love the jellyfish. I would totally have my own jellyfish if I could. We got to see the turtle. We got to see all the different little fishies. So went to the aquarium. I stayed the night at his house, and then the next day we kind of just played video games all day because that's the kind of couple we are. We just play video games all day. And then I was off for a couple days, and then I did a men's basketball game, and I TD'd that game. So technical directing, I got to push all the buttons. Pretty much anything that you saw go on the Jumbotron was because I hit a button. If you want more on that, let me know. Then I had a day off, and then it started my like long week of work for the month. I did a wrestling tournament, and this wrestling tournament was really interesting because we were trying out a new broadcast. So normally I do board shows at this college, which is any in-venue experience type of thing. So board show meaning the Jumbotron, but we also have ad serve, which is anything that goes live to TV. So if you're watching at home for any collegiate sports, there is a team that does that specifically, which is different than the board show because the board show is kind of like t-shirt toss and dance cam and that sort of thing. But ad serve is mostly focusing on like the game and the coaches and pretty much the TV broadcast of what like you're used to. So it's kind of a different show, which is why there's different teams. But for wrestling, we ended up doing kind of like a mock ad serve for TV, except we were recording it and then sending it to the network saying that we could do this type of broadcast in our control room. The only crazy part about this was I was technical directing, meaning I was hitting all the buttons, except they brought in a team of people with a new switcher for me to use. So I literally had to sit there and program every single button and say, I need this button to do this. I need this button to do this. I need my replay wipes here, and I need my transitions here. And I literally had to sit there with the engineers and build the switcher the way I wanted it to work for the show that day, which was so weird because I've never had to do anything of that caliber. Also, I like know the basics of the Grass Valley switcher. I mostly know raw switchers, which they function the same. They just operate slightly differently on the back end of how it does things and the processes that it does. So I'm like, I'm just going to TD today. It's not going to be a big deal. We're going to do a normal board show. Well, we didn't do a normal board show. So I was like, well, what the heck? So I'm sitting here and I'm literally sitting with the engineers programming this switcher. And I'm like, I really don't feel qualified enough to tell these guys like how to build it for me. Cause I know that I'm operating it tonight, but like, I feel like this is out of my pay grade. Like, I'm a contingent. I get paid hourly. I'm not salary. I do not get paid enough to think this much about certain things. And I was like literally sitting there building the switcher, and it was just so much work, which I'm not complaining about. It was just like I did not expect to build a switcher today. Insert pictures here Like, this is literally what I was looking at, and I'm not used to looking at this. But it was very nice, and it was great, and the guys were very accommodating to everything that I wanted and where I wanted it and stuff like that. So the show went fine. But other than that, first wrestling match of the season for me. I don't know what I was expecting, but it's wrestling. So I definitely am more of a fan of like soccer and volleyball and gymnastics and basketball versus wrestling, but it was an experience. I got to learn something. It was fun and games. So that was cool. And then the next day I was also back at my TV News Network job doing bug for another basketball game. So that was cool. And then I worked a women's water polo game. So that was the first game of the season. I think we won like 20-8. And I know very little about water polo. I did the NCAA championship tournament, and I did the same job that I was doing this time. Good job to the women's water polo team. That was a great game to watch. They're like really coordinated, and I cannot imagine treading water the entire time and not getting drowned by the other team. So women's water polo, that was fun and exciting. Had a day off, and then working as a production assistant to scoreboard operations at my pro league basketball job. That was fun. I got to stand in the players tunnel when I wasn't needed. So pretty much that job is I'm a utility. I wrap cable for the camera people on the floor. So I would just go out during the timeout break, go help wrap their cable, and then, set it back where they're at. Game starts, I go back to my core. Fun and games. Got to watch the game. Not a hard job. The next day I worked my theater tech job. That day was okay. I really wasn't very happy with how this job is going, just because they don't train you very well for certain things, and like certain things are like definitely you should be trained for, because a lot of it is safety, and they didn't train me for some things and they just throw me in, and I feel like sometimes I do nothing there and I sit in the front lobby and I do nothing, and some days they have me heavy lifting stuff I feel like I'm not physically capable of doing. So I feel like I'm going to take less shifts at that job just because they kind of just throw me all over the place, and I don't know if I can handle that type of work right now. So fast forward to this weekend, I worked a men's basketball game at my college job. And that was fun. And then the next day I worked women's gymnastics, which was the first of the season. And honestly, that was really, really cool to watch. In a past life, a long time ago, I used to do gymnastics. I used to do color guard, so I love performing art type of athletics. So I'm very excited for women's gymnastics season because it's just amazing to watch these athletes. So got to do that, and that was really fun. And here we are now. That's kind of what happened this month work-wise. In between all that, I've recorded my solo girly adventures. I started that series up. I feel like I had a pretty consistent schedule of like going out and doing stuff, and also this like kind of forces me to stay out of my room and stay out of just bed rotting all day on my days off. So I feel really good about kind of that series. But yeah, for the rest of the month, I have women's basketball tomorrow, women's gymnastics on Friday, and then another bug shift on Saturday to end up the month, which is why I'm recording this a little early, just because I wasn't going to have time to record on the last day of the month. That's pretty much what's happening. Next month, we have more of my pro basketball job as a production assistant. I have softball tournaments for my college job. Valentine's Day is coming up, and I don't know what we're going to be doing for that, but I'm excited for that just because I feel like we rarely have time to ourselves as a couple. Looking ahead, we just have a bunch of basketball games, some baseball, some softball, and some more bug shifts. So that's pretty much what's happening next month. I know next month is a shorter month. Other than that, I think I will be starting up my book vlogs again. I just feel like because I'm reading so much and I want to keep reading more books. Oh, that's another thing I want to talk about. I will recap my January books in a second. But just because I've been reading so much and I've been reading more books, and I feel pretty good about being consistent about finishing books. So I had a lot to talk about with those books, but I just didn't get to because I didn't do my book vlogs. And I feel like if I did my book vlogs, I would have a place to talk about my books. So I think I'm going to start up my book vlog series again. It'll be good. Let's talk about the books. So with me reading every single day and also having my Kindle Unlimited, I have currently read 6 books for the month of January. So we are definitely ahead of schedule for reading 52 books for the year, which I know it'll get a little harder in summertime / autumn time just because more jobs will pick up and I'll be a little bit more busy. 6 books is a lot, and these books were like 300 pages to 400 pages a piece. The first book I read this year was Corrupt Vows, which is a dark mafia arranged marriage series by V.T. Bonds, and this book is one of 7 of the Vicious Mafia King series. This one was about Serenity, and she pretty much like low-key likes her sister's fiance, who her sister is supposed to marry, except for the fact that her sister can no longer have kids, and that's kind of like a priority for these mafia families, is for them to kind of join in marriage and then obviously have kids so that they can continue the empire. So she falls in love with Nico Russo, who is technically, he's an asshole to her. So that one was, I started at the end of the year last year and I finished it this year. So that one I read to start the year. Then I started the Cavallari Brothers series by Lillian Harris, and that one I read 4 out of the 5 books. The reason why I didn't read the 5th book was because each book individually followed their own couple in the series, of course. So kind of it bases around the 4 Cavallari brothers: oldest brother, second brother, third brother, fourth brother. 5th book is like, I feel like it's so late. It's like so much later in the timeline. Like I get it, like some people want happily ever afters, but for me, I'm good and content with where this series ended for me. I'm okay with not reading the 5th book, but I started it and I was like, why are we like 10, 15, 20 years later? Like I only read like 10% of the book, but I was like, I don't think I really want to know how things ended 20 years later when they're like 50. Like I was okay with not reading that. So that's why I didn't finish the series. I kind of soft DNF'd it, but yeah, that was a series that kind of took me in a chokehold over this month. And so that was the 5 books that I read so far. And then the last book that I just finished the other day was Joey, which was a brother's best friend standalone dark mafia romance, which is the 2nd book in the Chicago Ruthless series by Sadie Kincaid. I read the first one, which was Dante, which is also similar plotline, similar names as the Cavallari Brothers series, which is why I was confused. And I was like, wait, I feel like I've already read this first book, but I didn't actually read the first book. So that's why I finished the Cavallari series. But I came back and I was like, wait, what is this Chicago Ruthless series by Sadie Kincaid? So then I was like, well, I only read the first book, and since I have Kindle Unlimited, I might as well read the 2nd book. So I ended up reading the 2nd book, which was Joey, and I just finished that one, and that one was good. Pretty much it follows the youngest sister of Dante, who is in the first book of this series. Another mafia romance, by the way. And he pretty much is really overprotective of his sister. And there's a lot of things that happened in this book, and there's a lot of reasons why he did the things that he did. Like he sent her to Italy for 3 years for school, and she was pissed off about it because like, why are you sending me to Italy? But obviously she has like bodyguards and stuff. Well, she has this one bodyguard, his name is Max. Also, he's like the best friend to her brothers, Dante and Lorenzo. And Max has a crush on Joey, who is Dante and Lorenzo's youngest sister. And they kind of said like, long time ago, like, don't mess with my sister. Well, neither of them let that happen. Obviously, Joey and Max did their things the way that they wanted to. Dante and Lorenzo were not happy about that. Things happen. Plotline wise, there's so much going on. Like Max has his own stuff that he's dealing with and trying to figure out. And then Joey's trying to figure out like, could this be real? Was that real? Was like any of this something that mattered to him? And she's kind of lost in like this confused like state of like, did I mean anything to him in those moments? And her brothers are like, don't do that. Like we don't like him. He's kicked out the family, yada, yada, yada. So anyways, that was the last book that I've read. Other than that, I finished 6 books this month and I feel really good about that. So book wise, that is what's happening. And I will start my book vlogs back up. All of that to say, pretty much I just recapped what I did this month, work-wise, what my content goals were looking like, the books that I've been reading. We kind of recapped my habit tracker for January, how that went, and kind of like the changes that we're going to be making for February to be a little bit more productive and use it a lot more in an efficient way. So we'll update on that when we get there. And other than that, that is pretty much it for this video. If you guys like this kind of content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That really helps me out on my channel to keep making these videos, staying motivated to keep making content for you guys. Let me know down in the comments any books that I should be reading for February. I'm definitely looking for some book recs. I have a bunch of books that I do want to read, but any book recs are welcome. Other than that, thank you guys so much for stopping by and spending time with me on this channel. It really does mean a lot to me to know that you guys like these kind of videos, so go ahead and hit that like button if you did, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!